Welcome to IDFC FIRST Bank presents the League of Seven. Because remember, seven is the new maximum. And we are going to look back at quite possibly, definitely the greatest series that I have seen and try and get 7 points that to me define the series. There were about 40. So how do we get to 7? I thought we'll use the factors that affected India the most, because this really was about India. From the collapse in Adelaide, 36 all out, to the win in Melbourne, the escape in Sydney, and that incredible win in Brisbane. It was India that was determining the flow of this series. So we'll start with 7 things India. And my first, you will pardon me, is a personal favorite. I mean, I love batting, I love bowling. But there was one fielding effort in a series where a lot of catches went down, by the way. The fielding wasn't as top drawer as it should have been. The Jadeja run out of Smith, I've watched it 5, 10, 15 times now. I could watch it 100 times. The swoop down, I mean, he was like a panther on the field, quickly turning round, picking it up, direct hit onto the ground. I know I've mentioned this before in one of our League of Seven programs, but even as I look back at the end of it all, to me, that was just a sensational piece of athleticism and cricket awareness. So to me, that was number 7. What then was number 6? That innings in Adelaide. I paused for a while because I'm just letting that sink in. How can a team be 36 all out? You could call it the perfect storm for Australia. Everything took the edge. Everything that took the edge went to hand. There was nothing else that happened. So many times you play and miss. There was no playing and missing there at all. The perfect storm. It was just meant to be. So that is my number 6 moment, not just for what happened, but what it led to. Because I'm convinced out of adversity come great moments. And I think that adversity just brought India together. I mean, they could easily have said, who do we not have? Instead, they chose to say, who do we have? That was number 6 to me. Number 5 to me, there was a contest that I thought would be pivotal at the start of the series, and that was Bumrah to Smith. But what did we see in the first test? Ashwin was beautiful. Turns, one goes straight. Steve Smith caught it slip, and he said, oops, because we thought Steve Smith always scores runs, right? He comes back in the second test, one more turns, this time on the inside half of the back, caught it back, shot backwards square. He's got, probably at that point, even today, the best test batsman in the world. Sorry, Kane Williamson. Once of the outside edge, once of the inside edge, nullified Smith in the first 2 test matches with outstanding display of finger spin bowling in a country that is so cruel to finger spinners. So that was number 5 for me. Then let's move on. Number 4. What 100 in Melbourne. I've got friends in Australia who are telling me they can't remember the last time they saw what is within quotes called a captain's innings. Remember where India is. You've done really well to get Australia out for 195, 190, 200 thereabouts. But India themselves are 170, 180 for 6th. That series could well have ended there. And then Ajinkya Rahane comes and strokes that magnificent century. It was so Rahane, that 100 back to the wall, standing there. A guy who doesn't say too much, who doesn't have that body language, but who's tough as steel inside. That century by Rahane, that partnership with Jadeja, just you want to relive it all over again. And the captaincy of a man who is so strong, but so understated. That is what you want your heroes to be. That, to me, was number 4. Then number 3, we get to Sydney, 1 all. And then the injuries start, one upon the other, one upon the other. When Ashwin and Vihari come out to bat, what do we have? Vihari has got a terrible hamstring. He can't run. He's on one leg. Ashwin can barely bend. His back is erect. He can't sit. Ashwin and Vihari bat 10, 20, 30 overs. And suddenly we say, can this game be saved? What is even more important? Who's next to bat? Ravindra Jadeja has got the glove on because he cannot put it on in time because he's broken a finger. They put the glove on and keep it there, and then he's got to come out to bat. Luckily, he doesn't have to and then there was a tail after that. That stirring back to the wall partnership. Oh, that was just sensational. That was number 3. Then number 2 in Brisbane. The arrival of youth, the arrival of what we would otherwise call the second string, and the extraordinary display of inexperience. Look at 6 players that were involved in this Brisbane test and see how many tests they had played. Saini, 1. Washington Sundar, 0. Natarajan, 0. Mohammad Siraj, 2. Shardul Thakur, 1 well, effectively 0 because he pulled 10 balls in that. Shubman Gill, 2. What a contribution from people so inexperienced. 5 test matches between 6 people effectively. And then the real star. We've seen Rishabh Pant for a long time. We talked about it so much. Going into that test match, Rishabh Pant has 15 test matches and he's played 3 times as much as everybody else. It was this team that took on the might of Australia with 1,000 plus wickets between them. This team effectively, since Rohit Sharma stopped bowling, had 11 wickets between them. You can listen to this stat 100 times and you cannot not be swayed by it. This inexperienced side, full of self-belief. To watch Shubman Gill was to see self-belief. To watch Washington Sundar, hasn't played a first-class game for 3 years, was to see self-belief. And to me, that is what stood out. That was number 2 for me. And if that is number 2, what could be number 1? A young man, when he fails, he's talked about far more than he should. He's only 23. When he does well, we build these magnificent stories around him. But he's only 23. Rishabh Pant was the one player in Sydney who was taking India to win when everything was against them. And then at Brisbane, when everyone, my generation, a lot of us watching, we all thought draw will be a great result. Series 1-1 Border Gavaskar Trophy still with India. Oh, the innings he played. That 97, I thought at that point was the best innings he had ever played. 1 test later, he was to surpass that. 89 not out, 97. Rishabh Pant in this series, to me, was the number 1 moment for India. What did you think of those 7? I mean, you could easily come up with a list that's completely different from these because so much happened in the series. Make your own League of 7. Remember, while you're at it, you too could join the League of 7 by opening a bank account with IDFC FIRST Bank and getting up to 7%. Because remember, it's always you, as it was in this magnificent series. It was about them and it was about us. It was about you.
It's always you first.